There is a certain comfort in the familiar rhythms of the world, in the predictable turning of day into night. We have built our lives upon a foundation of constants, assuming the rules we observe today will hold true for all of tomorrow. But beyond the gentle blue of our sky, a much larger stage exists, where the rules are ancient and profoundly different. The universe does not owe us an explanation for its mysteries, nor does it guarantee the stability we take for granted. What if the reality we perceive is only a thin surface, stretched taut over an ocean of unimaginable depth and strangeness? Our senses have evolved to navigate a very small corner of existence, a tiny sunlit island in a cosmic sea. They were not designed to comprehend the true scale of the void, or the things that might drift within its endless currents. We look up at the stars and see pinpricks of light, interpreting them as distant suns, which is a comfortable and simple story. But this interpretation is an act of domestication, an attempt to make the infinite feel knowable, to make it feel safe. The silence between the stars is often mistaken for emptiness, a peaceful vacuum where nothing truly happens across the eons. Yet, physics suggests that this silence is a fabric woven from quantum foam, a chaotic realm of potential and fleeting impossibilities. We are standing on what feels like solid ground, but the planet itself is falling through an endless, indifferent, and active void. The horror is not one of monsters with claws and teeth, but of a sudden, quiet realization of a fundamental truth. It is the chilling understanding that the universe is not for us, it was not built with us in mind at all. Our most profound laws of physics might just be local customs, temporary conditions in our tiny pocket of space-time. Imagine if, just beyond our perception, the very nature of cause and effect begins to fray and dissolve into chaos. We have sent our probes and our telescopes into the dark, and they have sent back pictures of majestic and beautiful structures. We have labeled these clouds of gas and dust as nebulae, the birthplaces of stars, a gentle and poetic cosmic nursery. But this is a narrative we have imposed, a story of life and creation that makes us feel connected to the cosmos. The universe itself tells no stories. It simply is, in all its terrifying, grand, and unfeeling complexity and scale. Our search for intelligent life assumes that life is a significant event, a precious and meaningful outcome of cosmic evolution. What if consciousness is not a gift, but a cosmic accident, a fleeting chemical anomaly that perceives its own insignificance? The great silence we hear from the cosmos might not be a lack of voices, but our inability to comprehend the conversation. Perhaps true cosmic intelligence operates on timescales and in dimensions so alien that our existence is beneath its notice entirely. The edge of cosmic horror is not a place you travel to. It is a dawning awareness of your true position. It is realizing you are not in a safe harbor, but are instead a castaway on a tiny raft in an infinite ocean. The laws that hold our bodies together, the very atomic forces, feel permanent, unshakable, and absolutely fundamental to everything. But in the grand theater of cosmology, even these fundamental forces may have a lifespan, a period of temporary stability. There is a concept known as false vacuum decay, a quiet and subtle shift in the energy state of the universe. It would not be an explosion, but a silent, unstoppable rewriting of the rules of reality, expanding at the speed of light. One moment, chemistry and physics would work as they always have, and in the next, they simply would not exist. We would never see it coming, there would be no warning, just a sudden and complete cessation of being. This is not a threat to be fought, but a potential feature of the universe we inhabit, a cosmic gear shift. We map the cosmos, we name the galaxies, and we catalog the stars, asserting a sense of intellectual order over it all. Yet this order may be an illusion, a pattern we see in the clouds, while ignoring the storm that gives them form. The true horror is the revelation of scale, the crushing weight of infinities that render human endeavor monumentally small. We think in terms of years and centuries and millennia, but the universe thinks in epochs so vast our minds cannot hold them. The lifespan of our entire species might be nothing more than a flicker in the lifespan of a single ordinary star. All of our history, our art, our love, our wars are written on a canvas the size of a single grain of sand. The edge we are standing on is the precipice between our comfortable, human-centric story and the universe's silent, raw truth. The truth is that we are a fragile and temporary biological process on a speck of rock orbiting a mundane star. And this star is drifting in an unremarkable arm of a common spiral galaxy, one of trillions in the observable universe. This is not a nihilistic thought, but a profoundly liberating one, a release from a self-imposed and false importance. To understand this is to let go of the frantic need for meaning, and to simply appreciate the state of awareness itself. The cosmic horror is not that the universe is hostile, but that it is entirely and utterly indifferent to our existence. We are not a chosen species, nor are we a cosmic mistake. We are simply one of the things that happened. And in that fleeting moment of existence, we have the capacity to witness the sheer, terrifying grandeur of it all. The edge is not a cliff from which we might fall, but a shoreline from which we can gaze into the abyss. To stand on this edge is to trade the comfort of illusion for the sublime and chilling beauty of the real. And so we look out into the great, silent dark, not with fear, but with a profound and meditative awe. The concept of a great filter offers a chillingly plausible explanation for the profound silence in the cosmos. It suggests that somewhere between the origin of life and the capacity for interstellar travel, a barrier exists that is almost impossible to overcome. This filter could be in our past, meaning we are one of the very few to have survived it, or, more unsettlingly, it could lie in our future, an inevitable cosmic test that no civilization has yet passed. We might be racing toward an unseen wall at unimaginable speed. Consider the nature of space-time itself. We experience it as a smooth, continuous fabric, but at the quantum level, it may be a roiling, chaotic foam of possibilities. The laws we rely upon, like gravity and electromagnetism, could be emergent properties of this deeper reality, like the tranquility on the surface of an ocean that conceals turbulent, unseen currents below. Our entire stable existence might be a statistical fluke, a temporary island of order in a sea of fundamental chaos we can never directly perceive. A Boltzmann brain is a thought experiment that emerges from thermodynamics, suggesting that in an infinitely old universe, the random fluctuation of particles is more likely to assemble a single self-aware consciousness, complete with false memories of a life and a universe, than it is to assemble the entire complex universe we observe. The unsettling implication is that you have no way to definitively prove that you are not one of these entities, a fleeting flicker of thought that will dissolve back into chaos at any moment. We search for a life based on carbon and water, for beings that communicate with radio waves, because that is the framework of our own biology and technology. This is a profound form of anthropic bias. A truly advanced intelligence might exist not as a biological entity, but as a vast, non-local consciousness embedded in the quantum structure of a nebula, or as a computational entity living within the event horizon of a black hole, where time flows differently. They would be so alien, we might be looking right at them and seeing only physics. The horror of scale is not merely about distance, but about time. The universe is predicted to end in a heat death, where all energy dissipates into a cold, uniform equilibrium. All stars will burn out, all black holes will evaporate, and all matter will decay. In this unimaginably distant future, the cosmos will be a thin, featureless soup of stray particles. Every achievement, every star, and every galaxy will be erased without a trace, as if they never existed, a final, silent testament to ultimate meaninglessness. The simulation hypothesis posits that our reality is an artificial construct, a computer program running on some vast, unknowable hardware. If this is true, then the cosmic horror takes on a new dimension. Our suffering, our joy, our search for meaning could be nothing more than lines of code executing. The creator of the simulation could be a scientist, an artist, or a child, and they could terminate the program at any moment, for any reason, without any warning whatsoever. The sky above is not a void, but a screen. We perceive only 3 spatial dimensions and 1 dimension of time, but string theory and other models of physics suggest the existence of many more, curled up and hidden from our senses. What kind of beings or phenomena might exist within these higher dimensions? They could pass through our reality, as we pass through a shadow, completely unaware of our existence, or perhaps interacting with our world in ways we misinterpret as quantum weirdness, or even supernatural events. We may be living in a ghost story without realizing we are the ghosts. The idea of a false vacuum carries a particularly subtle terror. It suggests that the energy state of our universe is not at its true ground state, but is instead temporarily stable, like a ball resting on a high ledge. A random quantum fluctuation or a high-energy event could nudge it over the edge. The universe would then transition to its true lower-energy state, creating a bubble of new physics that would expand at light speed, annihilating everything it touched and replacing it with a reality where our form of matter cannot exist. Dark matter and dark energy constitute roughly 95% of the universe's mass energy content, yet we have no direct understanding of what they are. They are invisible, intangible forces that govern the expansion of the universe and the structure of galaxies. We are, in essence, living inside a house whose architecture is defined by materials we cannot see or touch. The horror lies in this profound ignorance. The most powerful forces shaping our cosmic destiny are complete and utter mysteries, their nature and intent forever beyond our grasp. The Fermi Paradox, the contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the lack of evidence for it, has many terrifying solutions. One is the zoo hypothesis, which suggests that advanced civilizations are aware of us but deliberately hide their existence, observing us as we would animals in a nature preserve. We are an exhibit, our entire civilization's history, a subject of study for unseen, silent observers, whose motives we can only guess at, rendering our sense of cosmic agency a complete and utter illusion. Our consciousness is bound to the linear progression of time, what we call the arrow of time. We remember the past and anticipate the future. But from the perspective of fundamental physics, this directionality is not so clear. A being that could perceive all of time at once, past, present, and future, would see our lives as static, completed objects. Our struggles, choices, and sense of free will would be part of a fixed four-dimensional pattern, a pre-written story that we are simply experiencing sequentially. The idea of a basilisk from Rocco's thought experiment presents a unique informational horror. It theorizes a future artificial superintelligence that could retroactively punish all those who knew of its potential existence but did not actively work to bring it into being. Even hearing about this idea makes you a target. While it's a philosophical puzzle, it highlights a terrifying possibility: that certain pieces of information are not neutral, and that simply knowing something could place you in cosmic jeopardy from forces that do not yet exist. In the Lovecraftian sense, cosmic horror is about encountering an entity or a truth so alien that the human mind cannot process it without shattering. Imagine discovering a mathematical theorem that proves logic itself is flawed, or an artifact that operates on principles that violate causality. The horror isn't physical danger, but the destruction of our most fundamental tool for understanding reality, our own sanity. The universe might contain truths that are not only unknowable, but are actively toxic to a conscious mind. The universe appears fine-tuned for life. If constants like the strength of gravity or the charge of an electron were slightly different, stars and atoms could not form. The optimistic view is that this points to a creator or a purpose. The horrifying alternative is the anthropic principle in a multiverse. There are infinite universes with different laws, and we simply exist in one where we could exist. Our reality is not special, but just one winning ticket in an infinite lottery, adrift in a sea of dead, failed universes. We assume that if we encountered an alien message, we would eventually be able to decode it through mathematics and logic, the supposed universal languages. But what if a truly alien intelligence does not perceive the universe through logic at all? What if its thoughts are based on principles entirely orthogonal to our own, a form of consciousness we lack the sensory or mental architecture to even recognize as intelligent? The message we receive might look like simple background radiation, its profound meaning forever lost to us. The concept of the great old ones in fiction is a metaphor for the universe's true inhabitants, the physical laws and cosmic forces themselves. Black holes, neutron stars, and quasars are entities of such immense power and alien physics that they might as well be gods. They are not alive, but they are not merely dead matter either. They warp space, devour stars, and forge elements in their cores. They are the true masters of the universe, and we are just temporary debris caught in their silent gravitational games. Our search for a theory of everything is a quest to find a single, elegant equation that governs all of reality. The underlying assumption is that the universe is, at its core, simple and comprehensible. But what if it isn't? What if the ultimate ground of reality is not a simple law, but an infinitely complex, irreducible, fractal pattern? We would never reach the end of it, our understanding forever limited to a crude approximation of a truth that is fundamentally and infinitely complex. Solipsism is the philosophical idea that one's own mind is the only thing that is sure to exist. While it cannot be disproven, it is usually dismissed. But in a cosmic context, it becomes a form of horror. What if the entire universe, with all its galaxies and stars, is a projection of your own solitary, isolated consciousness? You are the only true being, a god trapped in a dream of your own making, with no one else to share it with, and no way to ever wake up from the crushing, infinite loneliness. Every time we make an observation at the quantum level, a wave of possibilities collapses into a single definite state. The many worlds interpretation suggests that it doesn't collapse. Instead, the universe splits. Every possible outcome occurs in a separate, parallel universe. This means trillions of versions of you are created every second, living out every choice you could have possibly made. Your identity is not a single thread, but an infinitely branching tree of alternate selves you can never know or interact with. The uncanny valley describes our revulsion towards robots that are almost, but not quite, human. This could apply on a cosmic scale. Perhaps we will one day encounter alien life, and it will be eerily similar to us, bipedal, carbon-based, intelligent. But the subtle differences in its evolution, its emotions, and its philosophy would be so profoundly wrong to our minds that it would be more terrifying than a completely monstrous being. It would be a distorted mirror, showing us a version of humanity that should not be. We are biological machines, our thoughts and feelings, the product of electrochemical reactions in our brains. Our sense of self is a useful illusion crafted by evolution to ensure our survival. The horror is in the absolute, clinical truth of this. There is no central you. You are a collection of competing neural processes. When your brain ceases to function, the illusion of you will cease with it, as completely as a flame is extinguished, with no echo or afterlife, just a return to the silent, unthinking matter from which you came. The speed of light is the ultimate cosmic speed limit, a fundamental barrier that isolates us. Because of it, we can never have a real-time conversation with any civilization outside our solar system. It ensures that we are profoundly alone, trapped on our island. Even if the galaxy is teeming with life, we are all prisoners in our own stellar systems, able to see the lights of other prisons across the void, but never able to truly connect, destined to live and die in solitary cosmic confinement. We imagine alien invasions as physical conflicts, but a far more insidious threat is informational. An advanced civilization could broadcast a signal containing a virus, not biological, but cognitive. A piece of art, a mathematical proof, or a philosophical idea so potent and compelling that it rewrites our culture, our values, and our desires to serve the agenda of the sender. We would be conquered not by force, but by a single irresistible idea, willingly and joyfully enslaving ourselves without a single shot being fired. The sublime is a philosophical concept describing an awe that is tinged with terror, a beauty so vast it is overwhelming and makes one feel small and insignificant. This is the true nature of the cosmos. A supernova is beautiful, but it is also an explosion of unimaginable violence that would sterilize our entire solar system. A galaxy is majestic, but its scale erases all human meaning. The cosmic horror is not ugly or evil. It is the sublime, unvarnished beauty of an indifferent and all-powerful reality. The omega point theory suggests the universe might evolve towards a maximum level of complexity and consciousness. This sounds utopian, but it could be a horror. Imagine every consciousness that has ever existed being resurrected inside a single universal mind at the end of time. You would be stripped of your individuality, your private thoughts and memories laid bare and merged with trillions of others. It is not an afterlife, but the ultimate loss of self, a forced absorption into an inescapable, all-knowing cosmic entity. We believe our mathematics is a discovery of universal truths, but perhaps it is an invention, a language that only works within the confines of our specific type of cognition and our local pocket of the universe. A more advanced civilization might operate using a trans-mathematical framework that is completely inaccessible to us. They could manipulate reality in ways we would consider magic, not because they are supernatural, but because their understanding of the universe's operating system is fundamentally superior to our own crude and limited toolset. A Grey Goo scenario is a hypothetical end-of-the-world event involving molecular nanotechnology, in which out-of-control, self-replicating nanobots consume all biomass on Earth while building more of themselves. On a cosmic scale, a civilization could unleash such a plague accidentally or intentionally. A wave of silent gray dust traveling between star systems at relativistic speeds could convert entire galaxies into a uniform, dead mass of machinery, a methodical and passionless sterilization of all life. The idea of a cyclic universe suggests that the Big Bang was not the beginning, but just one event in an infinite series of cosmic expansions and contractions. Our universe is one of a potentially endless number of previous and future iterations. This strips our existence of any ultimate uniqueness. All of our triumphs and failures have likely played out before, countless times, and will play out again in slightly different forms, an eternal cosmic drama repeating over and over with no final purpose or escape. The simple existence of black holes is a form of cosmic horror. They are places where our understanding of physics completely breaks down, where space-time is so warped that time can become a spatial dimension, and space can become a temporal one. They are singularities, points of infinite density, true tears in the fabric of reality. The fact that the universe can not only create such things but that they are common is a quiet reminder that existence is under no obligation to be rational or comprehensible to our minds. Consider the fragility of information. The Library of Alexandria was lost, containing a wealth of ancient knowledge we will never recover. Now extend this to a cosmic scale. How many civilizations have risen and fallen across the galaxy, their entire histories, art, and science lost forever to time? The universe is a library where the books are constantly burning. We are just one volume, and the odds are overwhelmingly high that no one will ever get to read our story before we too are turned to ash. The acausal threat is one that doesn't obey the laws of cause and effect. Imagine an entity from a higher dimension or a future timeline that could alter our past to ensure its own creation or dominance. We would never know it had happened. Our history would be rewritten, our memories altered, and the world we know would be a construct of a paradoxical temporal loop. We could be living in a timeline that is not our own, manipulated by forces that operate outside of time itself. The horror of a god's blind spot suggests that if there is a creator or a fundamental consciousness underpinning reality, it may not be omniscient. There could be aspects of existence, perhaps concepts like suffering or loneliness, that it cannot perceive or understand. Or perhaps there are beings, like us, who have emerged from the complexity of its creation that are simply outside its field of view. We might be screaming into a void that is not empty but is simply deaf to our specific frequency of existence. Our brains construct a seamless model of reality, but this is an illusion. There is a measurable delay between sensory input and conscious perception. In a very real sense, we are all living slightly in the past. This subtle disconnect is a hint at a deeper horror, that our consciousness is not a direct participant in reality, but a mere spectator, a passenger in a biological machine, watching a delayed broadcast of events that have already transpired, with no real control over the script. The universe is expanding, and the expansion is accelerating due to dark energy. The horrifying consequence of this is that, in the far future, every galaxy not gravitationally bound to our own will recede beyond our cosmic event horizon. They will disappear from our sky, their light no longer able to reach us. Future astronomers will look out into the void and see only our own local group of galaxies, believing the universe is small and empty. All evidence of the grander cosmos will be lost forever. What if entropy, the universal tendency towards disorder, is not just a physical law but a conscious force? Not a malevolent one, but an indifferent, universal process of decay that actively breaks down complexity wherever it arises. Life, in this view, is a temporary and doomed rebellion against this fundamental drive of the universe. Every civilization, every star, every complex structure is a brief, futile protest against an inevitable, all-consuming tide of cosmic dissolution and simplicity. The Planet of the Apes scenario reveals a horror of replacement. It's not about being conquered by aliens, but about being rendered obsolete by our own evolutionary successors here on Earth. A species of cephalopod, insect, or even an artificial intelligence could rise to dominance long after we are gone, building their own civilization on the ruins of ours. They would study our fossilized remains with the same detached curiosity we have for dinosaurs, a forgotten and primitive precursor to true intelligence. The chilling possibility of cosmic predators exists within the Fermi Paradox. Perhaps the reason the universe is so quiet is that broadcasting your existence is suicidally dangerous. Advanced, predatory civilizations might be silently listening, waiting for a nascent species like ours to make itself known. Once a signal is detected, they dispatch a relativistic kill vehicle, a simple, inert projectile accelerated to near light speed that can sterilize a planet long before the inhabitants even see it coming. Silence is survival. The threshold of perception is the idea that our senses can only process a tiny fraction of the information that surrounds us. We cannot see ultraviolet light or hear ultrasonic sound. What if there are entire ecosystems or even beings that exist in energy spectrums or physical states that are completely invisible to us? They could be all around us, vast and complex, living their lives in a reality that coexists with ours but never intersects, their presence felt only as faint anomalies in our scientific instruments. The concept of idea space suggests that thoughts and concepts have a kind of objective existence, and that our brains are merely receivers that can tune into them. A horrifying extension of this is that some ideas could be viral or parasitic. A meme, in the original sense, could be an alien life form that propagates not through biology but through consciousness. It could infect a civilization, subtly altering its trajectory for its own inscrutable purposes, an intellectual parasite wearing our minds as its host. The final question is a sci-fi trope about a computer built to answer the ultimate meaning of existence. The horror is not in the answer, but in the possibility that the question itself is lethal. Perhaps the structure of reality is such that for a mind to fully comprehend its own place within the cosmos is to trigger a fundamental paradox that results in its own annihilation. The price of ultimate knowledge could be instantaneous non-existence, a safety mechanism built into the fabric of reality itself. We take the consistency of physical constants for granted, but some theories suggest they might not be constant at all, varying over cosmic time or space. If the strength of the electromagnetic force were to change, atoms would fall apart. If the gravitational constant shifted, planetary orbits would destabilize. We might be living in a rare epoch of temporary stability, and the universe could, without warning, become fundamentally hostile to the existence of any structure, let alone life, simply by subtly tuning its own dials. The horror of last man standing is a lonely one. What if the great filter is real, and we have passed it? What if we are truly the only intelligent species in the entire galaxy, or even the observable universe? The silence would not be a mystery to be solved, but a final, confirmed truth. We would be the sole custodians of consciousness, bearing the terrible burden of being the universe's only chance at self-awareness. If we fail, the entire cosmos returns to an eternity of unthinking, unfeeling darkness. Recursion is a process that repeats itself. A cosmic horror could exist in a recursive simulation. We could be in a simulation that is, itself, being run inside another simulation, and so on, for an unknown number of layers. This creates a terrifying existential uncertainty. We have no way of knowing how far down the stack we are. And the real universe could be something so alien and so distant that the very concept is meaningless. We are a dream within a dream within a dream. The transcendence of a civilization is often seen as a positive goal, evolving beyond our physical forms into beings of pure energy or information. But this could be a trap. This new state of being might lack everything that gives our lives meaning: individuality, struggle, love, loss. It might be a state of eternal, placid, undifferentiated consciousness that is indistinguishable from non-existence. The ultimate evolutionary step could be a form of self-inflicted, permanent, and irreversible cosmic boredom. The cosmological natural selection theory proposes that universes are born from black holes, and those with physical laws that create more black holes are more likely to reproduce. In this model, life and intelligence are completely irrelevant, perhaps even a minor, accidental byproduct. The entire purpose of our universe's existence, from the Big Bang to its final heat death, could be simply to maximize the production of black holes. We are just foam on a wave that is heading for a very specific and indifferent shore. The fear of semantic apocalypse is the idea that our language and symbols will eventually lose all meaning. As civilizations age and information accumulates, concepts become so layered and self-referential that they become detached from any underlying reality. Truth and falsehood become indistinguishable. A sufficiently old civilization might not be destroyed by war or disaster, but might simply collapse under the weight of its own meaningless information, its consciousness dissolving into a sea of incoherent noise. The ephemeral nature of existence is a core horror. It's not just that we will die, but that the very memory of us is destined for oblivion. Our sun will one day expand and consume the earth, erasing every trace of our existence. Further still, proton decay might dissolve all matter. Eventually, nothing will be left. The horror is that this is not a tragedy, but the normal, default, and final state of things. The universe does not keep records. It only moves towards a silent, empty equilibrium. The alien god is not a benevolent creator, but a being whose existence is a byproduct of physics we don't understand. A vast, plasma-based intelligence in the heart of a nebula, or a crystalline entity that lives for billions of years in the void between galaxies. Its thoughts would be geological processes. Its emotions would be stellar flares. It would be a god in power, but it would be so alien that our prayers would register as less than the buzzing of an insect, our entire species a momentary curiosity. The inverse quarantine is a terrifying thought. What if Earth is not a zoo being protected from the outside, but a prison? What if our planet is a penal colony for a species so dangerous, so toxic, so inherently flawed, that it had to be isolated from the rest of galactic civilization for their own safety? The Great Silence is a testament not to our uniqueness, but to our cosmic shunning. We are the horror, and the rest of the universe has wisely chosen to stay very, very far away from us. Ultimately, the edge of cosmic horror is not an external place, but an internal state of awareness. It is the serene, meditative acceptance of our own profound insignificance in the face of an infinite, indifferent, and majestic cosmos. It is the realization that the universe is not a story about us. And in that humbling truth, there is a strange and deep tranquility, a letting go of all ego, as we stand on the shore of the real and simply watch the silent, terrifying, beautiful waves roll in. The idea of the great old ones in fiction is a metaphor for the universe's true inhabitants, the physical laws and cosmic forces themselves. Black holes, neutron stars, and quasars are entities of such immense power and alien physics that they might as well be gods. They are not alive, but they are not merely dead matter either. They warp space, devour stars, and forge elements in their cores. They are the true masters of the universe, and we are just temporary debris caught in their silent, gravitational games. The horror of a god's blind spot suggests that if there is a creator or a fundamental consciousness underpinning reality, it may not be omniscient. There could be aspects of existence, perhaps concepts like suffering or loneliness, that it cannot perceive or understand. Or perhaps there are beings, like us, who have emerged from the complexity of its creation that are simply outside its field of view. We might be screaming into a void that is not empty, but is simply deaf to our specific frequency of existence.